All right. How's everybody doing today? We're going to be doing some old Shittigen Sleeper. Look at that. We're at the same amount of time that I was at last time I played this game. Further proof that we are the furthest I've ever been. I'm really excited. I was very sure not to spoil myself back whenever this game came out. Or back whenever the last two bits came out. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys are. I hope you're having a good day. Happy Wednesday. Potentially the last episode. I don't know. I don't know how long these are. We might have another one after this. I'm hoping. I'm hopeful because I love this game. It's so good. It's just so good. We've got a great day. I think our plan was to build up on money and stabilizer, which it looks like we have for the most part. I think we just get right into it. There's nothing I have to do, right? There's no, like, bliss stuff I have to do. I'm done, right? Like, I'm ready to go. Do I have enough scrap? Do I have enough food? Okay, we're gonna do one more day because I want to find spores. I need some spores. 1, 2, and now we have enough. See, we're good to go. So we can go plant in the aviary just in case, right? I think I might also... I mean, I'm probably fine, right? I'm probably fine. Alright, 4 days on that. Let's go. Let's just go. We're going. There it is, the flotilla. Alright, damage control and haul supplies. I mean, we have a level 2 interface. There we go. I guess I'll do an endure as well. There we go. So that's not too bad. And look, there's Peak. As you walk into the bay of the Climbing Briar, the familiarity of the space overcomes any trepidation. It feels good to be back, and the return feels earned, especially after all the work it took to figure out a route through the flotilla's jumble of ships that might lead you to this blue streak. You see Esh and Peak immediately, sitting at the back of the bay, deep in conversation. Their closeness causes you to stop, suddenly aware that you might be interrupting something private. Peak is explaining something forcefully as Esh stares out into the middle distance, hunched over. She suddenly spots you. Sleeper, Esh nods. Didn't quite turn out like we hoped, right? Peak stops and glances between the two of you, the tension rising. The plan was always risky. For me more than you, Esh shakes her head. Maybe if you'd spent less time trying to question it, things would have gone better. Peak looks nervous. It has worked out, they appeal to you. The flux event knocks the entire cordon system offline. The flotilla is free and Havenage are backing off. That's not a good thing. In this case, Esh stands, I have to agree with the Sleeper. The flux may have brought me my freedom, but the cost for the flotilla's systems is significant, and if Havenage weren't panicked enough, Esh glances off into the distance. What exactly is happening? Hard to tell, it's just some kind of disruptive wave that only affects electrical systems, Peak chips in. Typically, systems are screened against radiation and interference, but this seems to be dulled, but not stopped by those defenses. The crisis continues, Esh sighs. The cordon may be down, but this brings a whole other set of problems. You should tell them, Esh. Peak glances at her. Please. Ash doesn't respond. Tell you what, you stare at her back, waiting for a response. Please, Ash, haven't they shown they can be trusted? Peek nods towards you. Ash turns, her arms folded tightly across her chest. She goes to start and then stops. You can see the anger in her eyes, but you realize it is not directed at you or at anyone else. She's angry with herself. I brought weapons to the flotilla, she pauses. And now they are gone. What were you thinking? I was thinking that if the cordon wasn't going to be lifted, the refugees would need something to change that. She stares at you defiantly. Would you rather they just stayed quiet and died like good citizens? Peek looks at you. She knows this was a bad move, Sleeper, I promise you. They glance back at her. She's just too proud to admit it. Where did you get them from? XPR. Ash gestures around the ship. I wasn't about to leave the colony armed when we escaped. I wouldn't trust them not to use them on us. Peek sighs. I don't know a thing about them, which is why Ash is going to be the one to find them and bring them back. Shouldn't we help? Ash turns. It's okay, Sleeper. I don't want anyone getting mixed up in this. This is my responsibility. She looks away. Plus, Peek adds, you and I have work to do. I want it to understand the flux, Sleeper, to study it. Peek's eyes light up. This thing is changing the entire system, causing problems across the inner system, driving refugees off Ember's moons, and now it's here. If we don't do something about it, Peek pauses, it's a problem for all of us. I can see more immediate problems, Ash sniffs. Peek ignores her. I've been looking at the networks, and when the Flux event hit, it changed things. It shuffled systems, corrupted nodes, and broke open data stores. They take out a slate to show you a flickering polygon. Some of these Flux nodes have appeared near the epicenter of the event, but I can't get access. You, however, I saw the way you worked with data when we were preparing for the run. I think you can get into these things. I want you to find a Flux node and bring me anything you can extract. They come and go, but most can be found in the barely functioning networks of the wastes. Peek pauses. Start there. Perhaps together we can find something that might point us to what the Flux is and where it comes from. Okay. They smile. I knew you would agree. Ash looks indignant. Don't waste too much time chasing Ghost, Sleeper. There are people on this flotilla that need any help they can get. I'm sure Sleeper can do both, Ash. Peek smiles at you. Excuse me. I'll see you here when you have something. Good hunting. And they wave you out as Ash stomps away to make plans of her own. We're back to the Briar. And we can study the Flux. I still need to help here. So it seems like there's no time limit right now, which is very good. Okay, so I need to go to the wastes. I need a 6, a 5, or a 4. Okay, okay. That's doable. This is doable. We don't need to eat. Let's, use a little bit of this scrap to keep ourselves afloat. And end the cycle. We'll save the, what's it called? The stabilizer for an emergency. We are not going to be able to do it today. That's so weird. Okay, cool. Soul, Pragmatic Captain. So we have a new character to meet. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind you, cutting through the chaos of the crowded, cavernous bay. You freeze. Don't be afraid now. I've been hunting you, sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in rusted metal. Soul. He holds his hand out, or he holds out his hand, the other clamped firmly around a knotted wooden cane. He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me, as soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Soul puts a hand on your shoulder. I've been told a Sleeper was part of that supply run that came in several cycles ago, he nods. A very welcome act, and we all thank you for it. Walk with me, Sleeper. Soul sets off through the bay, his partial suit hissing and creaking as it helps carry him through the busy crowds. You notice people making way for you and Sol, standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots on heating elements, a restless queue collecting meals. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here, we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of a greenish stew dished out. The color is something, isn't it? Sol smiles. Sol leads you out of the larger bay, into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving as dorms. You see someone filling a metal container from a standpipe, the water gushing out readily. Sol nods to the person as he passes. Just a little further now, Sol leads you into a freight elevator and whistles to some unseen operator to start up. The elevator jerks into life. If Havenage were expecting an exodus from the flotilla, the Flux event has put a stop to that. Sol stretches. Some have crossed to the eye, but many just to gather salvage or score a hot meal. So the pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I'd hoped. With the Flux reaching all the way out here, people are starting to understand that our journey might not be over. Sol stares grimly ahead. As Sol talks, and you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level. Supplies crammed into every available space. The ship itself looks like it's bending under the strain, its hull creaking, its wall panels pulled away for scrap, leaving the raw frames beneath. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and Sol leads you slowly out into a wide room of chairs and terminals, ringed by a mezzanine and with a glass roof above showing the distant hub, and the far curve of the eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. "This is your ship?" Sol nods. "That's right. The Pilgrim Seed is mine to care for." He leads you up a railed platform at the center of the room and stops. "She chose me, so to speak. Well, at least her crew did, and I do my best to serve them." Whoop. Sol looks around the bridge of the ship, a pained expression on his face. "I'll admit that the responsibility isn't one that suits me, though we rarely get to choose such things." He glances back at you. "But you, Sleeper, from what I understood, you chose to try to help us here, is that right?" "Something like that." "Don't be ashamed of it," Sol shakes his head. "I don't mean to shame you. But now I have to ask you, Sleeper, why are you here now?" Sol leans back, and you feel his eyes on you, assessing you. "The Flux event. I appreciate the honesty, I had figured as much." Sol flexes the shoulder that is free of the suit. "Looking at you now, I can see that an event like that, well, it would have had a big impact." He smiles a half smile. "I have thousands of people here on the Pilgrim Seed, Sleeper, and there's thousands more out in the flotilla." He leans against a railing. "A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've gotten into. And this cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, it just caught up with us. So these people are scared, Sleeper, and they are looking to me for reassurance. And then, on the same cycle, someone tells me they see you on board. A Sleeper, the same Sleeper, they reckon, that wanted so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us." Sol scratches at his beard. "So the first thing I wanted to do was thank you for that, for your interest." He pauses. "But the second thing I wanted to do was find out what you want from us." Sol's suit hisses and creaks. "I think that's fair, don't you?" Sol takes a deep breath. "So what is it?" "Let me help these people." Someone at a terminal calls out to Sol, and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. "Apologies." He smiles that half smile. "You really want to help? Well, I think I can make use of you." He squints. "But you are going to see that things are a little more complicated than you might have thought. I may be the captain of the Pilgrim Seed, and she is certainly the biggest ship in this flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships here from each of the moons. We're from Ember's Hearth, but there's others from Ember's Song and even Ember's Steppe. The moons have been at each other's throats, Sleeper. What with the pressure of the Flux, the bad blood from the old days," Sol leans in. "We aren't exactly all in alignment. What I need is a way to stop things escalating, for the crews on these ships and their captains to feel happy and comfortable enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes." He flinches at something. "Those from Ember's Steppe, well, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be at a barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies I sent their way, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking axis and the Ember Song ships gather at, but they have taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you're heading that way, you can look in on them. I'm no politician, Sleeper, but if I don't..." Sol stops. He leans back and flexes, his suit screeching. He groans a little, and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders, the suit the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. "Look, you'll see for yourself if you go. Meet the others, Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned." He speaks through the pain, his voice clipped. Are you okay? Not really. But as long as this thing holds, he grimaces. I hope. Sol grits his teeth. You are what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles his half-smile despite the pain. Because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on the Pilgrim Seed, too. If you have a moment to pitch in, there's never enough around here. That's something I have learned the hard way. Sol settles onto his cane, the pain visibly receding. Alright, I have 1,000 things to attend to now, Sleeper, so you'll have to find your own way out. And with that, Sol sits at his terminal with slow and careful movements. You head back down into the freight elevator, and as you do, you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel, and all the vessels of the flotilla, hold. Alright, we got some things to do. There's Aki at the Ember Step, and then there's the docking access at the hub. What can we do here? Do I have Matsutakis? I do. I have a lot of Matsutakis. I'm willing to do this because I have enough money to buy food for a few days. I'm very glad I, like, built up. Easy peasy. I'm gonna do a water check. Lot of talking already today. Sol finds you deep in the layers of the Pilgrim Seed, working on a patch for a life support vent. You hear him coming, his suit hissing as he does. I had to ask around to find you, he smiles. Seems you know the place better than me these days. I put in the time. And we thank you for it. Sol holds out a hand. Stand up and let me see you. He pulls you to your feet. I don't believe we ever had a sleeper on Embers here at Hearth. Sol looks you up and down. You sure do make me wish we had. Could have done with a few workers as good as you. Thank you. Sol nods. You're welcome. Seems like I owe you some answers, seeing as you've been working hard on the Pilgrim Seed these past cycles. He leans against a crate, his suit creaking. What do you want to know about? The flux. Sol sighs. That's what I imagined. He scratches at his beard. I can't say I'm an expert, but I can tell you what we witnessed on Hearth. At first, we ignored it. A few farms had their automation systems blink out. Lifter suits locked up, bots reset their schedules, nothing we hadn't seen before. But then the news came out of Pesaro, and they'd been hit harder. The local network had gone down and no one could get it back up. It was rough for a while, but out in the farmland we were used to that. Farmland? That's right, Hearth was terraformed. Wheat, rice, soybean, and much more grows there. Sol smiles. You should have seen the way the fields looked when big old Ember was high in the sky. Storms all shimmering. Anyway, we thought the flux was a freak event until the day they got the network running again. That's when the cascade happened. System after system corrupted, data lost. And then another flux hit. And another. The bots were running circles in the fields, people had to be cut out of lifter suits like mine. In the city, I never saw it, but I heard from the others. Sol shivers. It only got worse from there. We couldn't seem to fight it. It cut us right open. That's what I know about the flux. Some folks say it came from the inner system, that it might be connected to some old tech there or something, but I never heard anything more than rumors. Sol scratches their beard. Sorry I don't have better news. Sol shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? There was something. What do you want to know about? You. Sol squints at you. You want to know about me? I'm not sure that was part of the deal I was thinking of, Sleeper. Unless you're asking about this, he raps out on the metal of his suit. In case you haven't guessed, this is the only thing keeping me vertical. He adjusts his shoulder piece. It's a lifter suit, made for working the fields. We had to modify it so I could walk around after the accident. And that's all I'm saying, Sleeper, because to be honest with you, I don't know you more than that. You want to know about the flux, about Ember's Hearth, go ahead. But don't pry into my life, and I won't pry into yours. Solus a silent sit, staring hard at the floor. The suit seems to loom over him, looking more like a burden than a support. With the bars around his head, you suddenly start to think of it as a cage. Look, I don't mean to be rude. Let's leave it there. There's too many eyes on me on this ship as it is, and I'd rather just slip into the background. Thank you very much. That was a little rude. Anything else you wanted to ask? Ember's hearth. Sure, I mean, I spent my whole life on that rock, so I have plenty to tell. I'll save my life story for another time, he winks, but the short of it is that Hearth is the first of Ember's moons, the biggest and the most populated, which is down to the successful terraforming systems Cybiel set up back when Solheim owned the system. How are relations with the other moons? Sol smiles. Depends who you've been talking to. You shouldn't mistake me for a politician, Sleeper. That's for others to do. He gives you a look. But Ember's Step was a test ground for the terraforming tech that the Hearth is built on, while Ember's Song was the extraction site for the raw materials and energy needed to make it work. You would imagine that might lead to some tension. Okay, so Song is the extraction site, so they're probably the most hardy, but also the most pissy. And then Step probably just isn't as well managed as Hearth or something. However, Sol holds up a hand. Despite what people may say, Hearth was never fully stable. Sol shakes his head. Cybiel liked to talk it up, but after they pulled out and Solheim left, our people discovered they'd have to keep the systems running themselves, or the place would soon end up as dry as Steppe. Hearth was good as long as the evaporators kept running, kept filling our skies with clouds. Even after the collapse, our people kept those things going, turning that subsurface ocean into a periwinkle blue sky. Sol smiles. Flux ended that, though, and when they failed, the rains failed, and the harvest with it. Sol pauses. And soon you have a city without a way to feed itself. Sol shudders. That's when we, some of us, made the decision to set out on this place. He gestures at the pilgrim seed. And look for another future. Sol shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? I'm good for now. You sure? Sol smiles. I'm sure. Sol stands, flexing against the suit. He takes his cane in his hand. Keep it up, Sleeper. He smiles as he leaves. You're making me think I need to start making new plans for this place. With that, Sol leaves, and you wonder what he means. As he creaks away down the corridor, you can't help but feel there's more to him than seems. Huh. What else can I do here? Okay, it's just the ticker now. So, we need to mess with Aki, but first, I think we need to do some of this. So wait, is this supposed to be bad? Why is it red? Positive outcome from that one. Okay. There's a loose crowd around the supplies you have unloaded, and a tense mood brewing among them. You sit nearby on the edge of the shuttle's docking tunnel, resting. Further away, crews from the Ember Song continue their lives as usual, coming and going, trading, discussing. There's a quiet efficiency to the hub, set up as a common space for the swarm of small ships from Ember Song that are part of the flotilla. Unlike Hearth or Steppe, there's no one capital ship for this moon's refugees, just a mass of individuals traveling in concert. We told Hearth we didn't want their scraps. The jeering voice comes out of the small crowd nearby. You turn to see a gaunt, pale man wearing the industrial work gear you have seen many of the Song refugees wearing. You hear me? Stay silent. We agreed to join the flotilla for joint protection. We did not agree to Ember Hearth using the flotilla to secure their control of the moons. You realize Peter is addressing the crowd as much as he is addressing you. I mean, I'm going to have to, talk back eventually. With the cordon down, our crews are more than capable to acquire what is needed from the Eye, what is owed as restitution for keeping us restrained. He pats one of the crates you unloaded. What we need, we will take. I have no stake in this. Then why are you delivering supplies for Hearth? Peter laughs. You need to check your alliances, Sleeper. Peter looks around at the crowd. Hearth thinks they can buy us, but we remember the past. A rumble of agreement runs through the crowd. He smiles at them. Take the supplies if you wish, of course. We are not wasteful. Peter approaches you directly. The crowd tentatively moves forward, and by the time he reaches you, they are already dragging away crates and distributing the contents. I'm not one for shooting the messenger, Sleeper, says Peter as he approaches. But we cannot concede to Hearth here, not for a moment. I don't understand. I can see that. Peter sits beside you on the docking tunnel's lip. What was your plan, Sleeper? Unload the supplies and wait for someone to start throwing them back at you? He nods at the crowd rifling through the crates, because that's what was about to happen. So I should thank you. Peter bows a little. My pleasure. What do you think happened to the crew of this shuttle? He shakes his head. They were chased out of this place. What's happening here? We are maintaining our independence. He smiles. Do you know anything about Ember's moon, Sleeper? Or were you planning to wander the flotilla totally blind? An objective outsider offering help. He rolls his eyes. I know a little. A little is the same as nothing. I'm going to assume you know the basics. The gas giant Ember has 7 moons. The 3 biggest are Ember's Step, Ember's Song, and Ember's Heart. He winks. We can cover the 3 sisters next session. Step was the first to be settled, a contract old Solheim gave the terraformers Cybiel Systems when they first claimed the Helion system, though it's way back when. Step was a testing ground, and like most testing grounds... Okay, so this is Song, so this is the moon that got... Okay, I knew it. This is the moon that got, got stuff taken for the terraforming. The place is a miserable desert long past its best before date. So Cybiel moved to Hearth, where they redoubled their efforts. The subsurface ocean and some balmy tidal heating helped, allowing them to build a real atmosphere, a real habitable world, a fact that the typical Hearth colonist won't ever let you forget. How did Cybiel achieve such a thing, you might wonder? Well, that's where we come in. It's that same old rule of surrogacy, the one humanity built our universe around. Peter claps a hand to his chest in mock pride. My moon, Ember's Song, is a sulfur-soaked rock covered in volcanoes, tidally heated by its inner orbit to sweltering temperatures, exactly the kind of crucible you need to fuel a terraforming project. Energy, industry, fuel, Song provided the raw materials for Hearth, Peter grimaces, willingly or not. And a crucible requires people to run it, us singers, born into a flaming pit and asked to stoke it so others might live in a paradise in the making. That's what we had to endure, until Solheim brought everything down. Peter rattles off this speech from memory, and you wonder how many times he has delivered it. No Solheim, no contract. No contract, no Cybiel. No Cybiel meant 3 moons suddenly independent. Peter shakes his head. It was a war, Sleeper, sometimes hot, sometimes cold, and unsurprisingly, Hearth and Step came out of it better than us. Yet, Peter holds up a hand, they need us, Sleeper, always have, and so we are the linchpin. We are the center around which the moons orbit, not swirling Ember. We've resisted takeovers, sieges, and expansions, and now we'll resist this. Half the people on these ships think the flux was caused by Hearth, intentionally or otherwise, and I have to say, some cycles I agree. So before you come here to hand out supplies like a good soldier, maybe educate yourself. But you abandoned Song. Peter bristles. I want you to imagine what it's like to try to live on an airless, volcanic rock when every system that sustains you starts shutting down. He spits and wipes a sleeve across his mouth. We abandoned nothing. Some stayed, others left. But we will reclaim Ember as soon as the flux fades or ends. We've weathered worse. I understand. Do you now? Peter meets your eye. Well, perhaps you'll stop running errands for Hearth then. I won't keep you from the docking axis, Sleeper. No one here has the authority for that, but watch yourself here. Try to remember that the Eye is just another in the long list of people who have tried to control us. Peter sighs. Look, we are many, and we have many needs. Ships come to this docking axis for repairs, for requisitions, for friendship. You can provide these as well as any singer. If you want to help in your own name, Sleeper, not in that of Hearth. Peter shakes his head. Carry that name here, and you will lose all trust. Be as we are. Act in your own name alone. Peter puts a hand on your shoulder and stands. I hope I didn't just waste my time here, Sleeper. And with that, he walks away, back to the shrinking crowd that is distributing the last of the supplies amongst the crews present. You watch them pass the food and water between them, no signs of conflict between the crews, just a careful distribution of resources. Peter chats with a few crews, each of them casting looks in your direction, ones that reveal little about the singer's intentions. You stand. It seems the tensions on the flotilla run much deeper than you expected. This won't be easy. Is it ever easy? Ship mine replacement. One of the Singer crews is looking for a ship mine to replace their flux damaged core. Maybe you can help them acquire one? Spores. I have spores. Okay, I need to go get 3 spores. Okay. I need to eat. I need a ship mined. Only good way to get a ship mined is... Where is it? This group. We've been selling all of our ship mine parts. Oh, I'm so mad. Okay, Dock C4 will be here in 3 cycles. We're gonna have to wait quite a few cycles for this. 1 more, and then I think 4? I don't remember. We can't get any ship mines here. That's unfortunate. It's gonna take us a while to get that done. Let's go ahead and eat while we're over here. We'll use up some of these girl caps. There we go. Alright, also, before I forget while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and do our scrap components. And feed our cat. Here you go, Stray. It's too bad we can't import a ship mine. That would be awesome. Oh, wait, we can buy one. 240? You know what? Let's do it. Because if anything, in an emergency, I can do some hacking and make some quick money. Or sell off a piece of scrap or something. You know. There's things we can do. Alright, here's your ship mined. Alright, let's go talk to the steps. It's a strange sight, given your time spent in the Greenway, to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. It piles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to whirl in front of the glass ceiling. It is a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? The remark comes from another figure standing at the viewing window, so quietly that you hadn't noticed them. Did they just arrive, or were they here before you were? Their cloth-swaddled form reveals little. It is. You say nothing, or they say nothing. You catch a glimpse of a pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red reflected light. Hi, Aki. They turn to you as the dust swirls. Aki. They smile a tight smile. You are not from the flotilla, am I right? I live on the Eye, but that is not where you are from. She stares into the greenhouse. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes, whether it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloak around her shoulders against the long cold. What brings you to the wind's long shadow? Soul sent me. Aki doesn't respond. She looks absent-mindedly at the dust. You are a strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know whether to report you or send you back to where you came from. She smiles to herself. Which is nowhere at all. Huh. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on the ship. Unlike the other ships you have been on the flotilla, there is a silent order to the wind's long shadow, and in this moment it feels unsettling. Where is everyone? Aki waves a hand. Asleep, mostly. It is night on Step, and so it is night here. She rubs her shoulders. At least for those of us who can sleep. Aki lets the silence sit, and you hear the wind and dust scratching at the viewing window. You hear a creak as a set of shutters slowly begins to close across the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, you feel the dissonance this place has with that word. There is nothing green here. A dust house, perhaps. It takes many systems to preserve this landscape, Aki begins. To simulate the wind, cycle the dust, layer the sand and dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling. Systems that are failing. The flux event, Aki glances at you for a sign of recognition at this term, is eroding our ability to keep this place alive. To keep these traces of Step alive, she smiles to herself. Which is ironic, because when we left Step and the flux had eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation is reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we were, living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutters darken the dust house. The winds, picking away at the dunes, begin to reveal something. A web. A network of thick branching forms. And then they close completely, and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, uplighting Aki in the cold cyan. You have piqued my curiosity, but I'm so tired, Aki shivers. If you do not have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll need to leave. Make yourself useful, and perhaps we will get another chance to talk. She turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pads away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in front of the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots under the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. So what do we need to do here so I know to be prepared? Make yourself useful. With interface. Okay, supporting systems. We can do that. We have +2 interface. That's going to be helpful. We're done here. We just need to deliver the flux data there. So we've got things to do. Things to understand. That's good. That's good. Very good. Sorry, I just smacked to the frickin' mic. Alright, we got a 6. Oh, Moritz! Sleeper. Moritz is leaning against the corridor wall. It's time. He looks away. Big job just came in. Grand finale. You up for it? I'm ready. Alright then, we are in business. He pushes away from the wall. This has to work, Sleeper. Has to. He looks down. If it doesn't... Are we in trouble? The Bay, you mean? He shrugs. We were already in trouble before you got here. The work so far hasn't been enough. Look, Bliss has had a rough time of it. I thought you of all people would understand that. He runs a hand through his hair. Sorry, didn't mean to be. He smiles. Bliss is a good one. She gave me a chance. I owe her. He straightens up. I know you have your own things going on, Sleeper. We all do. But the Bay needs someone. Bliss needs someone. Hell, I need someone to help me keep Bliss from spinning out completely. He scratches the side of his head. Otherwise, there's not much I can do. He shakes his head. And I would hate not to pay back my debts. Moritz stretches. I've got to get back. He nods and walks away. I'm out. See you up there. Okay, I think we need... That seems like a priority. From what I remember, these are timed. Let's at least go look at it. We have a couple cycles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's real bad. Okay, we're gonna do the safe option. We shouldn't start with that. We should start with this. An exhausting task, patching solar sails. It's the same, it's +2, okay. That was a good cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We gotta finish this, though. I think this might be the priority. What I need to do... Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna try my hardest to get that done as quickly as possible. Especially because it's pre-DLC stuff. So we might as well go ahead and finish it out before we, you know, complete the work on the DLC. Let's sell this real quick so we have a little bit more money. Just enough for an emergency. There we go. We're gonna feed our cat. I hope there's not like a hidden timer or anything for these. We're just gonna enter cycle here. I doubt there is, but you never know. Alright, we gotta eat. So, we got some girls. Let's just go ahead and eat. In our nice little kitchen. Two ones. Ah, we forgot to do our thing. Might use a stabilizer this turn, then. Because we're only gonna get two, We're only gonna get two, continuances today. Let's, oh, we got random scrap. That's sick. We only have ones, so let's see if there's anything on the flotilla that we can risk with a one. Grove spores, I haven't forgot. Ship mine replacement, we did. +2. We can lose energy, which isn't that big of a deal. Let's try one. Okay. And then we're gonna use our last one to make a little bit more money. I mean, 20 cryo oh, I lost the word. Hold on. Cycle. 20 cryo a cycle is pretty good. Let's go sell our data that we worked so hard to get. We definitely worked really hard to get this. That's why it's worth so much money, people. It's interesting that you can sell ship mine fragments over here in case of a risk whenever you're paying almost the same for them. I think I am going to take a stabilizer. Just so we don't have to worry for the next few days. Man, that is a big ship. That thing's cool. We're going to take a stabilizer. And we're going to end our cycle. Alright. We're going to need energy. We got some good stuff this time. That's good. Positive outcome. Alright, we're not in any risk anymore. We'll go ahead and do this. That was a lot less urgent than I thought it was going to be. That's funny. We need to go use our food. Let's go get something to eat. Oh, where are you? There you are, the Bantayan. We're going to eat up some Matsutakis. Should we eat more? No, we're good for now. Alright. Things to worry about. They haven't left yet. That's so weird. Why haven't they left yet? Let's go to sleep. We're not in as much of a hurry, so we can take today and use one of these 6s to get the information we need. Where is it? It's like... Here it is. We could have used the 4, but it doesn't matter. What else? I guess we could... We can hold off on the spores for a minute. Let's do some of this. Don't give me the 25 negative. Oh, that's so rude. That's so rude. We did get money for that. That's good. Speaking of money, I mean, we gotta go eat again now, which is annoying. Ugh. Eating. Such a bother. That's the last of our Matsutakis. And then I think we're just gonna do scrap. Oh, we can't do scrap here. We can just go to our empty container. We haven't been there in a long time. Scrap it up. We forgot to get the Yadigan data before we went to do our thing. And then we'll go turn in the data that I forgot to. The flux data. I think it's okay to spread out our activities. We're not in a big time crunch anymore like we were. Alright, let's go turn in this data. While we're stable, we're happy. We're not in too much of a risk. Is that you? No, that's you. Let's turn this in. Sleeper, come look at this. Peak is poring over one of the displays of the makeshift decoding suite that they have set up in the Climbing Briar's cargo bay. On the screen, a clump of data pathways, like an ingrown root ball, has started to untangle. This is an existing node, corrupted by the flux event. It is totally twisted up. They glance at you to check that you are listening. But inside, you watch as the unwinding pathways leap behind patterns of negative spaces, like shadows staying behind despite their caster leaving. Is a whole other data set. Peak's eyes shine bright in the pale screen light. The flux event somehow seeds this data deep into the gaps in the node, wrapping them around it. What's in there? Not sure, Pink frowns. It isn't being very cooperative. You watch the screen, the pattern of shadows becoming obvious now as each layer of their pathways is boiled away. The flux event itself really did a number on unprotected nodes like this one. Most of the eye's systems are screened against radiation and interference, but these exposed nodes? Peak makes a ripping motion with their hands, torn apart. Peak points to a thick tangle of threads on the screen. Look here, it looks like it's been tangled purposefully, but it's actually that all the points within the node have been randomly rearranged. It's as if the node was a bag of ball bearings and the flux shook them. Huh. The pathways tried to account for the rearrangement once the system came back on, hence the tangle. Peak pauses as the node continues to unwind. Although, Peak muses, it was less like shaking a bag of ball bearings and more like making them all simultaneously occupy a superposition of every possible position in the bag before locking them back into a new configuration. They smile sheepishly, but that's a technicality. So what is the flux? We know it is a wave, one with exotic effects, that's all. Peak runs a hand through their hair. The question is not so much what the flux is, but what is causing it? Where is it coming from? Peak turns away from the screen, meeting your eye, and there's something else. They pause. Have you spoken with the refugees? A little. Peak lowers their voice instinctively. What they were reporting, massive systems failures, cascading collapses of life support, of terraforming systems, total data corruption. Peak swallows. The flux shouldn't do that. It can fundamentally rearrange the structure of systems, especially those poorly shielded. But totally collapsing heavy-duty industrial systems, fail-safes and all, that doesn't make sense. Those kinds of systems are built for deep space, for solar flares and radiation. The flux might penetrate them, but any reconfiguration should have been repairable. Peak looks back at the screen, where the decoding node lies almost fully open. A shadow pattern of the negative spaces that existed within its scrambled interior darkens the screen, like a set of bruises showing the pattern of the object that made them. I need to look into something. I have an idea what might be causing this wave, triggering the flux, but I need time to research it. Can I help? Peak shakes their head. I'm sorry, Sleeper, but I want to keep this to myself for now. If you need something to do, the flotilla could surely do with the help. From what I heard from Ash, things are tense there. Where is Ash? Peak glances around the bay. Must be out. I've been focusing on this, so I can't say I've noticed. Although the quiet is nice, they smile. Give me some time, Sleeper. Peak turns back to their console. I'll have some answers soon enough, I hope. You take one last glance at the uncoiling node as you leave. The dark shapes it leaves behind somehow troubling. You try to shake them from your mind. There are things to be done elsewhere. Alright, so we gotta wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days for that. Nothing else we can do today. We'll sleep at the base camp today. Now, we need to finish that job up top. Oh, we got really good this time. Let's go ahead and grab the... Where is it? Let's go ahead and grab the spores that we need. We'll go ahead and do that for... No, because if I go and start that, and I have to talk to someone, I'm going to totally forget to go back and work on the spoke. So we're going to go to the spoke. Or what's it called? The central hub. It's called a spoke, isn't it? Don't have a lot of time left. These got to be really good. And we're done. There we go. The atmosphere in the airlock is euphoric. You and Bliss keep grinning at each other like idiots. Exhausted, blinded, sore, and aching idiots. Sleeper, that was incredible. She punches you on the arm. I never thought we were going to make it. Those idiots tangled the whole thing up like nothing I've ever seen. We make a good team. Bliss smiles a winning smile. As the lock's inner door clunks open, Moritz gives a rare whoop. He looks exhausted too, and for good reason. Moritz has been the one ferrying tools and parts back and forth from the ship. His tired smile tells you he's glad it's done. Sleeper, Bliss, he shakes his head. Impressive. When I saw that ship come in, I thought there was no way. Why, thank you, Moritz, she winks, for believing in us. Moritz rolls his eyes. You know what I mean. Take the compliment. He shoulders some of the gear that came back in with you and Bliss, and he heads to the racks to stow it. Bliss turns to you. I think you should be the one to do the honors. She nods to the ragged-looking console that Moritz assembled. I don't want to jinx it. She smiles, but you can see she's genuinely nervous. Don't worry. I'll stop worrying when the chits are in my hands, and I'm giving them to a gimbal bartender. You glide over to the console and check the screen. It takes a second to see what you are doing through the flickering, cracked display, but after a moment you see the accounts. And there it is. Almost 1,000 cryo sat in the bay. Transfer account. Well, Bliss calls. Have we been screwed again? It's there. Bliss kicks off from the floor and spins up into the bay, shouting as she does. The noise takes Moritz by surprise, and he knocks a rack of parts, scattering handfuls of metal fixings across the bay. The sight is something, glinting steel catching the work lights like glitter. Sorry, says Bliss, grinning when she comes back down. I needed that. She kicks off and joins you at the terminal. Moritz even managed to sell that produce. We made a tidy profit, eventually. She laughs. Here, she loads a stack of blank chits into the terminal and transfers a chunk of the cryo to them. This is your cut. Bliss hands you the chits. Thank you for believing in this place. She looks away and smiles, even when I couldn't. When you first met me, I was on the edge of giving up. All it would have taken was one more push, but now this place is sparking again. Work is coming in, there are funds in the accounts, even Moritz has a spring in his step. You both look over at him, happily racking up tools. That's because of you. She punches you on the arm. He likes you. He's a good kid. He isn't bad, is he? She leans in closer. You know he came here looking to rob the place? I gave him a job instead. She laughs. Don't tell him I told you that. I just thought it might help you understand the kid. Moritz turns to look at you, and both Bliss and you awkwardly wave. Maybe it's time to change the subject. What now? From here on out, it's going to be a little easier. I'm going to look for some component contracts, stuff that will keep us inside the bay, not out in the black. No need to risk our necks if we don't need to. You want cash out? That's fine. But there will always be work for you when you need it. I'll be back. She smiles and then, out of nowhere, quickly gives you a hug. She steps back and glances around reflexively. Take care, she says softly. You too. You turn to leave. And Sleeper? Yes? She smiles. Don't spend that all at once. Hey! We made money. So we can repair components and make money here still. Moritz has heard Bliss speaking with someone remotely. Is there another job coming in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. So we can make decent money right there. Alright, let's go do some work. We're waiting on the Briar. We're waiting on the dust houses. Dust houses? Okay, I really don't want to screw up and, like, end up with less stuff, so we're gonna save that one die for some money. Even though we don't really need it anymore. There we go. As you cross the axis, looking for a shuttle to take you back to the ruined cordon, you spot Peter standing at the edge of the central hub. Something about the way he's leaning against the rail, looking down across the axis and towards the blinking lights of the flotilla beyond, makes you pause. He is completely still, his head drooping low and his shoulders hunched high. I'm gonna approach him. You lean on the railing a little way from Peter, leaving a gap between you. This close, you can see the blank stare in his eyes, the way his hands hang limply in front of him. He takes a minute to notice you. Sleeper, he inhales sharply. Still hanging around? Trying to be useful. Peter smiles a tight smile, but doesn't turn to face you. That a sleeper thing? Needing to be useful? It's a me thing. It would make sense. Peter closes his eyes. Tools need to be used. Shut up. Peter stands back from the railing. Who invited you, Sleeper? Who said you could come here? You think because the Harthers decided to name you their errand boy, we have to put up with you? We don't want you here. We don't need you. His eyes burn with rage. Go home, you stupid machine! A second after he shouts that final line, he collapses on himself, staying upright, but all the energy going out of his body. He slumps back against the railing, his eyes closed once more. You wait. After a while, he speaks. I'm tired, Sleeper. Tired of everything. I'm tired of the empty paternalism of the hearth. I'm tired of the paranoid whining of the crews. I'm tired of endless cycles that look the same, smell the same, feel the same. I'm tired of running, of hiding, of fixing every shitty thing that breaks out here. His shout echoes a little in the hub, but few stop to look. He looks down at his feet. Everyone is tired. Peter doesn't react. He stands. I'm gonna go. He looks at you and sniffs. Get some sleep. Peter turns away. He raises a hand and drifts away towards the center of the hub. You turn back to the railing, not wanting to watch him go. Seeing him like this, you prefer not to stare. The traffic of the Axis rumbles on as you watch, under an endlessly shining sun. The same air recycled through all of these lungs, the same dust gathering speck by speck on the windows. You take a sharp breath, stand straight, and get moving, before the inertia of it all gets to you too. Huh. So we can socialize, or we can work. Let's lose some money. Maybe we get some energy out of it. Nice! And then... not really much to do here. We got one more job. Okay, today is a scrap day. We're full, we have enough food. We have plenty of money. We don't even have to worry about, like, going and digging up mushrooms anymore. The only reason we need to do that now is for stabilizer. We can use the one here. Yeah, we're fine with that. We're gonna go over here. Minus energy. That means we should probably eat before we continue. We can work for food, but we have plenty of money. I'm gonna go pay for food. We haven't seen Enfys in a few cycles anyways, so it'll be nice to, you know, go say hi and get some grub. Best place to do it, huh? Alright, we're good to go. Might just go ahead and fill up, honestly. Nah, we don't need to. We'll save that for next cycle. I'm going to use the 2 on the one that loses me money, too, because that's not too big of a risk. I'm rolling. I'm simply rolling in dough. And it's a +4. Yeah, we're fine with that. How many points do we have? We have 2 upgrade points. Reroll all of your dice once per cycle, or keep 2 dice even when condition is breaking. I mean, which one's really... I think Intuit is what I want to do. The reroll... The reroll is nice. I like it. So. Alright. We've made ourselves useful. Have another conversation with Aki, I suppose. I see you've been contributing. Aki stands next to you at the dust house window. I was unsure what to expect when we joined the flotilla on its voyage to the Eye, but after the journey across the system, then the quarantine, and then the flux reaching all the way out to here too, Aki stops herself. Thank you. She bows a little. The other ships have only been interested in sending us supplies, but we grow all we need. She gestures at the dust house. What the dust house does need, that is the problem that concerns us. She smiles and turns to you. Shall we go inside? I'd love to. Aki smiles. Come. She taps away at a panel by the window. Seems only fair that after your help with the support systems, you get to see what it is that you are maintaining. Aki leads you to an opening beside the window. You pass through a dark changing room. You notice Aki is sliding on an oxygen mask and visor. She looks at the swirling dust inside. Inside, it's just like Ember's Step. Thin atmosphere, constant dust storms, nothing that will bother you. She passes you a mask. The dust isn't exactly pleasant to inhale, however, so take this. You hold it to your face. She leads you through a short decontamination tunnel, with its fizzing panels of purifying light, and then through into the dust house. Immediately, the wind and the heat hits you. You feel the rough waves of dust scattering across your face, and peer through the amber murk. Your feet slide on shifting piles of sand. Welcome to Step, or an emulation of it at least. Aki's voice sounds distant, echoey. The terraforming process only managed to provide a limited atmosphere around the moon, one which is slowly escaping. It's been like that since I was born, so I got used to the idea. You catch her bright eyes through the dark amber dust. So did everything else that lives there. You feel something hard beneath your feet, beneath the sand, like a coil of rope. You instinctively look down, and you see something pale and twisted poking out of the sand. Snake? Aki sees you looking. This is Step Silk. It's one of the plants we established on Step. She kicks away some red sand. Like any based fiber, it can be retted and woven into clothes. I'm wearing some made from it myself. It's one of the many species adapted to Step since the Solheim collapse, which is why it must be preserved. She stares out into the swirling dust. It is as much a refugee as we are, and the dust houses hold hundreds of other species. You look at the pale, unassuming root, threaded thickly through the sands. Aki watches you silently. Had enough? It will be easier to speak outside. Aki leads you back through the tunnel, out through the decontamination tunnel, which blasts the dust from both of you with a burst of metallic-tasting air, and into the changing room. Aki hangs up both the masks, patiently awaiting your questions. What happened on Ember's Step? Aki pauses, pulling her shawl around her. She looks small and pale inside its layers. Step was already a doomed world, she sniffs. When Solheim gave the terraforming contract to Cybel, they believed they could build an atmosphere, but the moon's erratic orbit made it impossible to maintain. By the time of the Solheim collapse, the atmosphere was already fading, and Cybel's attention was on Ember's hearth. After the collapse, Cybel failed too. Its researchers scattered across the moons, and any central organization lost. Since then, my parents' generation worked tirelessly to survive, to adapt what we had to the failing moon. The steppe silk, the other adapted species, are the life's work of the steppes colonies. So when the flux started to collapse our computer systems, corrode and destroy our life support, our water supply, our agriculture, we had to leave. Aki sits heavily on a nearby bench. Soon the only traces of steppe will be on this ship. Aki begins to cry quietly. You're unsure of what to do. This feels right. You sit on the bench beside her as she sobs. You understand why this ship, why the refugees from Steppe are so different. Their world was already dying when the Flux arrived. Ember Steppe is a terraformed moon, a partial atmosphere, established colonies, agriculture. And yet, when the Flux events started, its people had to leave. You think of the Eye, and the delicate web of decaying systems it rests upon. What hope does a ruined station have against a wave that corrupts, corrodes, and collapses? Aki interrupts your thoughts, rubbing her eyes. Not everyone left. There wasn't room to take all the people and fill the dust houses. My parents, their friends, and many others stayed. She sniffs. We carried the step for them. I'm gonna stay silent. Aki stands. I wanted you to understand the importance of these dust houses, of what they contain. She leads you back out onto the corridor. If the Flux events continue to reach out to the Eye, we will need to build protections to ensure their safety. Aki meets your eye. I can help. Aki smiles weakly. I knew it. You will be welcome on the wind's long shadow whenever you wish. These dust houses are already decaying. I have seen it. She stares into the dust. We had thought that they would last longer, but that last Flux event... Help us, Aki looks at you. Please. I will. When you're ready, we will begin the preparations for reinforcing the dust houses. We need to be ready for the next Flux event. Aki's eyes shine with the last of her tears. She takes a breath. I will see you soon. Aki drifts away down the corridor, leaving you alone once more at the viewing window, watching the ragged, delicate traces of the moon known as Ember Steppe. Alright, so there's dust house shielding, then there's Steppe silk care. More resistant engineering. Both of them are energy. Engineer, we might be able to get some scrap. So I think this is the one we're going to prioritize here. Engage gives us energy. But, I don't know. And then over here, engineer, we might be able to get some scrap too. So we'll do one of each right now. Just to spread things out. And if we end up getting scrap from either of these, that would be lovely. We did. We got scrap. Sick. Okay, so that's the next move. 1, 2, 3, 4 more cycles for that. We could just sleep here today. I'm going to go ahead and go get food from Memphis before I do anything else, just as a precaution. Because I'd rather not lose... Oh, dang it. I forgot to repair first. That's my bad. I think what I'll do is I'll use these 2s to lose more cryo. And then the 3 will be used in one of the engineering jobs, and the 6 will be used in the other one. Probably whichever one has more risk. I don't actually remember which one has more risk. We've got minus energy or minus energy, so it doesn't matter. We'll use these here. I'm okay losing some cryo. You know, we did fine here. I think what I might do is just do engineering over here. Go ahead and get this caught up. Maybe we get a little bit more scrap too. Nah. That's okay though. We have plenty of energy now, so we are gonna go back here. We're gonna use 2 scrap. Feel like we're doing pretty good. At least I hope we are. We're making pretty good time. That's it for this cycle. How long do we have? I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Oh, I just looked over. I use OBS to record. So this is what I use to stream too. One of my friends must see that I'm playing Resident Sleep or Citizen Sleeper right now. They tried to play one of the sound clips to jump scare me. The sound clip Creeper. Little do they know, if I'm not streaming, it does not play. Lots of ones. Oh, that's so much better. That's what I'm talking about right there. Alright, honestly, 3 goes over here. We'll do the 4. We got energy back. That's sick. You know what? Let's finish this one today. We got more scrap. That's awesome. And then tomorrow we can finish the other one. Sleeper. Peter calls to you as you cross the axis. He's standing by the same railing as you saw him at last time, and he beckons you over. I've been hearing things. He gives you a sidelong look. Peter smiles. Don't be so nervous. He rubs his hands together nervously. You wait for him to speak. You know, on Song, I was a teacher. He glances at you, anticipating a response. Really? Peter sighs. Don't sound so surprised. Mechanical engineering. It's an essential subject on a moon where a single mechanical failure could mean the death of hundreds. He looks at the ground. The heat, the atmosphere, the radiation, all of it is hostile to us. My students knew this. Their work, their training was respected. As long as they were careful and respected Song themselves, they could have their choice of colony placements. They were always in demand. That meant I was respected, surrounded by friends and colleagues, always able to call in favors and repay them like for like. He frowns. Song colonies are small, close-knit. We look after our own. When the flux event started hitting, colonies went dark overnight. We all knew what those kinds of failures meant. Like always, we lost more people than any of the other moons. He balls his hands into a tight fists. Not a single one of my students left Song. Our future was cut off, just like that. My future. He flexes his hands. What am I out here? What use am I? Song is a fading memory, and the systems we built there are useless outside its orbit. How am I supposed to move on from here? He looks at you, eyes steely gray and glinting. You don't have to. I can't wait any longer, Sleeper. I can't settle for no future at all. You don't give up, do you, Sleeper? You just keep going. Peter shakes his head. You remind me of a student of mine, one who entered the program from one of the smaller colonies. They didn't have the advantages of some of the others, but they were stubborn. Stubborn as hell. By the end of the program, they were the most skilled of their peers. They didn't get the best assignment, maybe because they didn't spend much time making the kind of connections that would help you get there. But that didn't matter, because I knew they would make the best of anything they set themselves to. Peter's smiling now, buoyed up a little by memory. Singers are stubborn, Sleeper. We aren't going to change easily. We won't forgive easily, or take help easily. But we'll hold strong. You can count on us for that. Peter stands up from the railing. When you see Saul again, you can tell him that. You can tell him how the crews of Ember's Song operate. Tell him we will resist. If that means resisting Hearth's imperialist ambitions, so be it. If it means resisting the flux, so be it. And if it means to, as you have helped others... And if it means to, as you have, help others resist those same pressures, so be it. Peter smiles, and then tell him to leave us alone. He turns, his step lighter, and heads off towards the center of the Axis' hub. Something about... It's like... Saul seems altruistic to me. Like, it seems like Saul is trying to help. Maybe they're just untrusting, or maybe the history there is just something that I could never understand. It's so interesting. Such a tough decision. I don't know. I don't even, because like, I'm so, oh man, I'm even thinking back on the conversation that I had with Peter, and I'm like, did I say the right thing? Did I like say shitty things to him. Man, it's so good. I love it. I love the character writing in this game. I don't know if you guys know this about me. You probably do if you've listened to me talk about anything ever. I'm just a giant slut for character writing. I always have been, I always will be. If a character is written well and interesting and they have a good arc, or as they uncover more and you find the layers, it makes them make more sense. It's just so good. I love it. I love it a lot. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this 5, 6, and we're going to use these 3s. You know what, real quick, let's check on the spoke. I want to see how much time we have left before that job. Two more cycles. Okay. Let's use up the 6 and the 2 3s, and then we'll re-roll the 1s. Maybe we'll get some more scrap out of it, too. Alright, we're done preserving. We can talk to Aki again. You and Aki stand side by side at the viewing window in silence. The dust swirls and you glimpse the twisted root systems of the steppe silk through the ochre haze. Ochre? I don't remember how to say that word. After all these cycles, you feel a strange connection to a world on which you have never set foot. Aki shifts from foot to foot. She seems restless, eager to speak but unsure of what to say. The dust houses look good. Aki smiles at you warmly. They do. She pauses and turns back to the window. What is the value of all this? She asks suddenly. Of preserving a world we have left behind? That's such a good question. I think it can be all 3 of these. You want to remember your history. It's your heritage. You want to hold on to it. And you want to conserve life that deserves to exist. Like, life deserves to exist because it lives. I don't know. It's hard. I'm going to say conservation. These creatures should be protected, yes. But for us, their conservation is conditional. We keep them alive because we need to use them. I can't pretend we are conservators when we harvest as much as we are able. Aki paces away, lost in thought. I'm grateful to you for helping protect the dust houses, for ensuring their slide into decay is delayed, even averted. But now I find myself at an impasse. The stability of the dust houses changes things. It makes me aware of how blinkered we have been. Aki stops to look at you, her posture somehow different. If the ecosystem of the steppe, of its people, cannot grow to meet the future, why preserve it? She frowns. Are we just slaves to the preservation of what came before? You can change. Aki comes close. Hold your hands in hers. We must change. We must change to live, she smiles. I have seen that in you. The steppe, these people, this ship, should serve more than heritage, than history. They should serve the future. She takes a breath. There are those in the flotilla that need clothes, that need food, that can benefit from the gifts of the steppe's ecosystem. I want you to invite them. Can you do that for me? How? I know that Sol sent you, she smiles. You can tell him Aki, captain of the wind's long shadow, invites all the people of the flotilla to come. I will. She nods. Aki steps away. You want to know about the flux, no? About its purposes? Its origins? She smiles. You wish to protect your home as we could not. I'm afraid I don't have much to tell you. It is an exotic wave of sorts, an energy that passes through matter. It shifts the very charged particles which run through our electrical systems. It is possible to shield against it, as you would radiation, as we have done with the dust houses, but only while it is weak. The flux event here was much like the first ones we felt on Ember's Step. Localized, destructive but bearable. But in time, its strength grew. I don't know if it will be the same here, but... She pauses. It is coming from the center of the system, from the close orbit of Helion's star, H1. That is all we could uncover. She is silent for a moment, unsure of what to add. I'm sorry I cannot offer more, but you are always welcome on this ship, she smiles. I hope I will see you when the others come. She squeezes both of your hands. I hope this ship, these dust houses, can be more than a museum. I hope they can be a home. With this, she turns and leaves, and you feel that word, home, resonating within you like a struck bell. Well, now we need to talk to Sol again. And we're waiting on the climbing briar. When you arrive at the bridge of the Pilgrim Seed, Sol is waiting for you. You wouldn't believe the messages that have been come through in the past few cycles, Sleeper. He smiles. The ship from Steppe has sent a goodwill gesture, a whole cache of supplies from their own farms. He smiles. I'm not sure how we'll use them, but the gesture is a welcome one. Song, meanwhile, are apparently accepting supplies again, although a little reticently, I don't know that word, if I may say so. Sol smiles. I don't expect them to change anytime soon, it should be said. And what I'm wondering, Sleeper, is what part you had in all this. Sol eyes you, waiting for an answer. I helped where I could. I've come to expect that of you, Sleeper. He smiles. You look at Sol, his eyes bright and eager, and wonder what he sees in you. Are you a tool to be used or an ally? It can be hard to tell. I want to show you something. Sol squeezes your shoulder, turning you to face the lift. He leads you along the axis of the ship, towards the engines, the clanking of his suit accompanied by the constant hammering and welding that fills the echoey bulkheads of the Pilgrim Seed at all hours. With the cordon lifted and shuttles able to go out to salvage scrap and barter for supplies, the ship has become a place of transformation, moving towards some state yet to be revealed to you. You look at Sol. What is his plan here? What is he preparing the Pilgrim Seed for? Or are his sharp eyes simply focused on making it through the next cycle? Suddenly, Sol stops in front of a huge bulkhead door, like the seal on the front of a dry dock hangar. He signals to someone in a cabin high up, attached to the wall, and they begin the process of opening it up. The Pilgrim Seed was built as a short-range freight carrier, you know? The amber warning lights on the bulkhead's door send spinning shadows across Sol's face. We built it to ship the entire harvest from thousands of farms to the silos at Passero. When we realized we needed to leave, it was the biggest ship we could muster. Sol raps on a metal plate, and somehow she's carried us all the way out here. We? Farmers mostly, from outside the city, and the edges. He flexes his shoulder beneath his suit. We saw it coming first, I guess. Knew it was time. Others didn't want to believe. I was a farmer, had a whole load of land and people to run it, and my people helped convert this place for the long trip. He looks at his feet. Others led, organized the evacuation, and debated the plan. What happened? None of those folks made it. Sol rubs his forehead. We were out in the black a long time before we got here, Sleeper. Things happen. The upshot is I was chosen to take over. I guess my crew trusted me, and I knew the ship. I argued, reminded them I'm no leader, and that I'm sick, but, well, when service chooses you... A loud klaxon sounds, indicating the bulkhead doors are ready to open. They groan as they slide back, the metal squeals echoing through the vast ship, bouncing off its hard-plated walls. At first all you can see is darkness, then the lights go on, in huge strips that stretch back and back as far as you can see. The space in front of you, a vast bay, bigger than any you have ever seen, is empty. When we left Hearth, we didn't have the time or resources to convert the entire ship. Sol begins leading you into the massive space. So much of the freight space we sealed away, shut down. But now we have time, we have resources. We stabilized here, at least for the moment. Sol turns to you. Now is the time we make use of all of this. What are you planning? What do you think happens next for the Eye, Sleeper? Sol sighs. The flux has already hit one part of the station, and from what I know, it'll hit again. On Hearth, we lost everything. There isn't much time, Sleeper, but there is enough time to do something. Think of the number of people we can fit on here. The farming stacks, the housing. Hell, we can plant some of those mushrooms you love so much. This is the way forward, the only way. We need to fill this ship with able bodies and head for the Starward Belt. I thought the Eye was your destination. It was until the Flux hit here. Now it's just another stop. I'm glad of the chance to go to resupply and salvage, but we need to go further out. I want you to help me. You know the Eye, you have connections, and you can work real hard. I've seen it. Soul meets your eye. I know you are like me, Sleeper. You didn't choose service, but it chose you. Can this work? It has to, Sleeper. There's nothing else. I know it's a lot to think about, Sleeper. Trust me. Soul begins to lead you back out of the bay. But think of what we can do here. The flotilla can't last forever. We need more than just farmers to make this work. We need to build a new world for ourselves. I've heard that out there in the belt, there are people who have been setting up since the collapse, making something of their own. That's our future. Tucked away in those rocks, far from all this. Soul sighs. I didn't bring my people here just to let them die somewhere new. Soul crosses back over the threshold of the bay and signals for the operator to close it up. The door groans and Soul waits for it to stop. Think about it, Sleeper. Soul claps an arm on your back. But don't wait too long. This is happening soon. And he leaves you there, in the silence of this vast bay, your head spinning with the thought of leaving the Eye. Wow. Can't do nothing with that 1 point, so... I guess for now we're... waiting? I mean, we can go to the aviary and do that. I want to go... and see how close we are to the next bit. 2 cycles. Okay, well, we need more stabilizers, so first things first. We're gonna go to our little aviary here. Time to dig up some mushies. We only have +1 into it. We're 2 upgrade points away. That's okay. Neutral. We got Girl and Matsutake. Okay, we're gonna reroll. 2s. Great. I can't use 2s to pick mushrooms. That seems like a mistake. We're gonna go... another flux to node. I didn't realize there were more. And there's another one. 5, 6, or 4. I guess this cycle we'll do this. And then honestly, next cycle we'll go ahead and try to open up those other nodes if we can. Alright, we'll do both of the Havenage agents. We're gonna... I mean, we're already at an hour and a half, so normally I would stop, but if we're being honest, I'd really like to at least do those other nodes before I forget. So we are going to end the day before we end the video. And then we're gonna go work on those nodes real quick. There we go. Go ahead and eat here. We do have Matsutake, so we could eat, but we don't really need to. We are going to feed the stray, of course. We don't have the scrap to self-repair, and I wasn't going to self-repair anyway, so that's it. We made some good progress today. We have a 6. We only have 1 6, huh? Let's go ahead and unflux this node. Do we get 2? Nah, we only get the 1. I guess because it's a quest event. There we go. That's what we needed. Go ahead and get this one, too. Can we use a 4? We can use a 4. Let's use a 4. I wonder if there's any up top. Let's go look. I don't see any more here. There probably is one up top. It's probably smart to at least check. Yep, there is one here. I don't know if it's useful to get them all, but we're going to. Now let's go across. I don't see any more. Okay. There's Peak. Honestly, straight up, I kind of want to harvest mushrooms first. Didn't get the hammerheads that we wanted. Wow, we got none of them. That's crazy. We have Matsutake's. Do we have... We do, it's back. Okay, let's buy some scrap. Got a ship mine fragment, of course. Please don't give me another ship mine fragment. I know it's going to. Okay, it didn't. That's nice, actually. I guess we have the caps. We might as well cook them up. Ship mine fragment. We're going to hold on to that because it might come in use. We have plenty of money. He says. We've only gone through like 40 cryo in what, the past however many cycles it's been. Alright, we're going to listen to what Peak has to say, and then we're going to end the episode. Have you ever heard of CAN channels, Sleeper? Peak asked as soon as you entered the bay, as if you were in the middle of a conversation. There are heavy circles under their eyes, and you aren't sure if they've moved since you last visited. The console they are working at seems to have grown too, shadowing their slight frame in a wealth of screens and wires. You mean for transit? Yes, exactly. Peak turns to face you. Kiyomani's active negation, the name of the effect used to transport trillions of tons of materials from the surrogate systems to the core. You might have heard of it in your physics classes. At XPR, they hammered the principles into us as kids. KAN, Peak recites the definition as if in the classroom, a process of collapsing spatial causality along the Euclidean distance between 2 points by negating mass simultaneously at both ends of a geodesic curve. Essentially, KAN channels allow for the near-instantaneous transport of raw materials between systems. They require huge volumes of energy, of course, and decades of construction, but once a KAN channel is established, it opens up a system for infinite exploitation. The backbone of surrogacy is what XPR called them. Peak shakes their head. They might not be able to send anything more complex than a rock through them. Complex machines and people are, shall we say, reconfigured by the process. But for raw, molecularly pure materials, Peak flicks a hand. Whoosh. Where's this going? Peak pauses. What I was trying to find out was whether the Hellion system, this system, ever had a KAN channel. KAN channels are vastly expensive to build, to run. Not every surrogate system has one. Many use fraction drive ships to transport the materials to the nearest hub, but Solheim... Peak smiles. Solheim spared no expense when they established this system. There's a KAN channel? Yep. Peak's eyes light up. They shut it down before the collapse. They couldn't run the send a receiver station anymore. But it was there. It still is, as far as I can tell, closely orbiting our star. In fact, Peak grins, they've been building up to this. I'm sure it's still there, because one of the issues with KAN channels are the massive waves of exotic energy they can produce when cycling up. The flux. Exactly. Peak's face suddenly drops. Someone is starting up the channel. Why? Peak sucks in a breath. That? I don't know. They start counting off information on their fingers. They'd need a lot of resources to do it, and they'd need to have people from the core systems. But there's no real large-scale extraction in the Hellion system anymore, so why would you go to the trouble? Just to trigger the flux? Peak rubs the red eyes. The flux, the wave the KAN effect produces, is a side effect, a problematic one, but it isn't a destructive force. If it was, the core systems would have never been able to use it. So then why are colonies collapsing because of it? Why is it chewing through systems, the kind of industrial systems set up to function within the range of a once-active KAN channel? Peak is getting frustrated. The moons of Ember have been terraforming since before the collapse. They would have had to deal with the flux, yet everything we have heard from the refugees says it brought down every system they had. Peak falls quiet, thinking it all through. Your mind drifts too, thinking of the KAN channels, those vast causal highways that prop up the core systems and their endless appetite for resources. This system has been quiet for decades. Solheim collapsed, most corporations gave up their claims, and apart from the Celis ships that came to begin work on the sidereal horizon, no one from the core has come here in all that time. You shiver as you imagine the attention of the core, the systems of logic and exploitation that created you, created your suffering, turning towards the Hellion system. A floodlight turned to this dark corner. A shrill bleep catches both of your attention, and Peak rushes to a screen, one showing a crude map of the station. On it, individual markers begin to flare up with insistent chirps. Peak looks puzzled for a moment, and then their face drops. No, no, no! They lean in close. This doesn't make any sense! What's happening? The flux nodes are appearing everywhere on the station. Peak pulls their hair. I set this system up to alert me to other flux nodes near the epicenter of the flux event, but these are everywhere. The hub, the low end, the shipyard. How can this happen? The only reason we saw flux nodes here is because it's the most rundown part of the station. They were barely shielded, but others appearing? So far after the event? Peak turns to you. You're going to need to get me these data from these nodes, and quickly. I'll keep looking at what I have here, but I need to know why they're popping up everywhere. Right now? Right now. We could talk more about KAN channels and system history when you're back, but this needs our attention right now. Peak turns quickly back to the monitor, their eyes following scrolling screens of code spewing from the newly flux nodes. You leave quickly, but struggle to shake the image of the spotlight from your mind. You feel watched as you cross back into the Pilgrim Seed on your way to a shuttle bay. You hurry onward, eager to outrun the fear. I bet they need 3, and I've already got them. So, next time, my friends, we are going to quickly repair ourselves and end the cycle so that I remember to repair. End cycle. And now, time since I'm saying 29 seconds. Moritz, sleeper, long time. Moritz is smiling at you when you leave, clearly happy to see you again. Moritz, good to see you. Same. He rubs his hands on his jacket. How you been? Working hard. I bet, he grins. Well, you're always welcome to hang out the bay if you want. He glances around. Actually, that's what I'm here about. I know Bless she said she didn't want to take any more big jobs, but she changed her mind, or something, he grins. Because now we have someone looking for a refit of their ship in our bay. You would not believe it. They want their entire ship disarmed, cutting out defense arrays, weapon lockers, ship-to-ship countermeasures, the whole lot. He leans in. We'll be able to start an arms dealership with all the hardware we'll have up there when we're done, he laughs. Anyway, it's a massive job and we need some hands. Bliss said to go get you. So come on up. Bliss is waiting on you to accept the job. He pauses. It'll be good to have you up there again, he grins. Like old times. Okay. There was our save. Guys, we maybe got 1, maybe got 2 more episodes left. I have no idea. This was a really good one. Sorry if I went a little too long. I'm sure you guys won't mind. I appreciate you all very much. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Comment. Let me know what you think of the story so far. Oh, it's so good. I love character writing. This game is just full of character writing. It's all I need. It's all I want. I love it. Subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to be doing Fallout 1 next. So look forward to that, and look forward to potentially the conclusion of the story next week. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.